Hi, welcome everyone to the Mahogany Table. I am your host, Joyce Steele-Moore. Here, we embrace conversations about power, purpose, and legacy. And today we have a very special conversation that we'll be having on building your support network. Today, I have a guest with me who will be talking a little bit more about how she built her support network. And I think you'll find this very interesting. So we want you to stay until the end. And if you have not subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe. And share it with 10 of your sister friends so that they can hear what we're doing here at the Mahogany Table. Now, in today's episode, again, we're talking about building your support network. And I'm joined here by a beautiful professional woman who is also a mother. She's a sister. She's an auntie. And she's a grandmother. And so, if anyone knows about building a professional as well as a personal network, it would certainly be her. My guest today is Valerina Oliver-Dumont. Val, thank you for joining me today.
Joyce, thank you for having me, and thank you for believing that I have something good to share with your audience today.
Well, I've known you for years, and I know that as a professional woman and as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, you have been building tremendous communication and networks with people throughout the community. So I know there's a lot of information that you can share with our ladies today and that you have to offer. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a native Chicagoan. I've lived in other cities through my work, taking me to different places. I've lived in Houston, Texas, Washington,
Oh,
D.C., and Atlanta, Georgia. And I've taken my family with me and raised them in all those places with me
wow.
when I was needed to.
So Val, how many states did you get? Was that 3 or 4
It
states?
was, well, I lived in 4 states.
Oh,
Mhm,
wow. That's
mhm.
interesting.
It is. It has played a very large part in how I built my network.
Okay.
Mhm,
Okay. That is
mhm.
so interesting to know. And I know that you have an extensive corporate background as a retiree. You just came from a major corporation and you've retired after what, 30 years?
So I've had a regulatory banking career with the federal government
Oh, wow.
for 40 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Believe it or not, I started back in 1986, right after I graduated from college. And that's what took me on my first move to Washington, D.C. And you can imagine moving back 40 years ago to Washington, D.C. I was making no money, but I moved anyway because I knew about the opportunity. And I was 23 going on 24 years old.
Okay. Okay. So you have an extensive background in the professional industry. Oh, my goodness. And at that time, were you raising kids, raising a family as
Oh,
well?
no, 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 no. No, I was single trying to find work, right?
Okay.
So one of the things I learned when I was in my search for work after college is it's sometimes better to leave where you were raised. But I didn't know this, but people have, employers have preconceived notions about who you are as an
Mm,
African American based upon where you live in the city, based upon just being an African American. They have notions about you. But when you go other places, nobody can say you're from the west side of Chicago because they don't
oh,
know that. Or you're from the
oh,
south side of
okay.
Chicago. They don't know that.
Okay.
You're presenting yourself, who you are, with your knowledge, what you have to offer, and that's what they base it on.
Oh, wow.
Now, they may have some biases, but you're not bringing any biases to the table for them to have.
That's interesting to know. So it's almost like you have a clean slate.
Absolutely. And you can even put on a different personality if you choose.
Now that's fantastic. So let me go back a little bit to the various states that you live in.
Mhm.
So give me a little bit of the dynamic of how that journey occurred with the various states, because as you're moving from state to state, definitely, I know that you had to start building all kinds of networks because, you don't know anybody necessarily in each one of those states.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you about how I started in Washington, D.C., which I think is kind of a fascinating story.
Okay.
So I was 20, like I said, 23 going on 24, and I just accepted this position with what was known as the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. Many people don't know that we, our government used to charter savings and loans separately from commercial banks and total separate agencies. And there was an insurance of accounts,
Hmm. Okay.
not just the FDIC, but
Mhm.
the FSLIC. They insured federal savings banks, and the FDIC insured commercial savings banks. So
Okay.
until they merged, but that's a different story. So now I have this position with the FSLIC, which was under the Federal Home Loan Bank
Mhm.
of the federal government. So I'm sitting at this bar because I just accepted this job. So now I have to have a drink to celebrate.
You had to have
Drink to
a real
celebrate.
drink, huh?
Waiting on a friend of mine who had driven me from Chicago to DC for the interview because I had no money. So, and I had been looking for work for about 9 or 10 months. So this woman walks up to me and she says, "I cannot believe you're sitting at this bar. What are you drinking?" I said, "I'm drinking scotch and tonic," like I was this big
Mm.
girl, right? She said, "You look like a baby." I said, "Well, I'm not. I'm 23, going on 24.
Oh,
She
you
said,
real
"Oh,
grown.
I'm real grown." So we get to just chit chat. And I said, "I just accepted this position." And I said, "I literally know no one in this town." She says, "Well, my name is Claudia, and now you know me." Now,
Oh,
Claudia was probably maybe 15 years older than me.
okay.
And so we sat there and we started chit chatting. I said, "I have to report to work." I gave her the date. I can't remember what it was, but I gave her the date and I said, "I don't have any place to live."
Okay.
You know what she said? "My mother is an empty nester, and I'm sure she'll rent you a room."
Oh my goodness.
So
How fantastic was
it
that?
was just
A- a-
us, and
And
it was
and
beautiful.
and you know what's interesting about that to me? That meant to me your energy and the way you presented yourself, which it's something we'll probably talk about a little later on.
Mhm.
It really it kind of resonated with her that she felt comfortable enough to invite you into her space.
Yes. So I started defending that because I felt the same energy. I said, "Wow, she is comfortable enough with me to live with her mother." Her mother was elderly.
Oh,
She's an empty
mother.
nester. So I said, "Well, let me tell you, I'm from a God-fearing family." I said, "I want your mother to speak to my mother about who I am so she'll know the type of person that she's getting in her home."
Oh,
So I
fantastic.
put her in contact with my mom. They talked, and I moved in. I came with these two huge suitcases, and I moved into this bedroom upstairs. I lived there for about 8 or 9 months. This woman made my lunch. I used to travel a lot. She washed all my clothes when I came back from a trip. She
Okay.
made my lunch for me. That was always dinner. It was the first time I'd ever had crab cooked in a pot, kale cooked on the stove, different things that the East Coast eats that we don't eat here in the Midwest. It became my second family.
And that was the beginning of a networking relationship. Perfect. Oh my goodness, that
Absolutely, it
is
was.
fantastic. So as now that you have gone, you're a young person, you're exploring your career, and now you start to move into other directions of your life. So how did you end up in some of those southern states?
Okay, so um, a lot is happening in the regulatory banking industry now, right?
Mhm.
We're in the savings and loan crises, 86, 87, 88, 89, and we're closing banks left and right. So I was on the insurance of account side. So when we closed the bank, I would travel to the state, me and my team. We had teams, and I would go in and we would
Mhm.
say, "You need to come to us if you have $100,000 or more. We're going to tell you what your account is insured for, and if not, this is what you have to do." We would go on site undercover,
Oh
under
wow.
assumed names and everything.
Oh
We'd
wow.
show up on a Friday, and we'd open the bank back on a Monday. We'd work all hours of the night to get the because everything wasn't automated back then. We was
Okay.
trying to see if you had 6 accounts at the bank, did you have one with your mother's name on it, with your sister's name? Are they joint accounts? Are joint accounts insured up to, that whole
Okay.
process of insuring and getting you the maximum amount of your insured dollars by the federal government
Sure, sure.
in this institution that's being closed down. It was a fantastic job. It was a job that really empowered me to no end because when we went in there, we were firing people who had jobs for 30 years. They were crying. So I had to learn how to be empathetic. I had to learn how to deliver bad news when um, these people had to go home and tell their families. And I was in my 20s. What did I
Okay.
know?
Okay.
So now I'm going to segue just a quick moment to growing up in a family with 10 siblings.
Okay.
And that is where you learn empathy and all sorts of things that you develop with your feelings.
And things that you can take with you along as you grow and as you mature. Those are skills
It's a
that,
skill set.
as we call them, life skills.
It's life skills, and it teaches you how to navigate.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have a name for all of them, but I know that in your psyche, in your subconscious, it pulls this stuff out of you
Yes.
when you need it.
Yes.
So me being 9 out of 11 had everybody on top of me, bossing me around, doing all sorts of things. So I knew how important it was to be able to calm people down, navigate it, and do this work. So
Oh, sure.
then, because we were closing so many institutions, we ran out of money. The insurance fund absolutely ran out of money. So they closed down our agency and merged us and created a new agency and merged us with the FDIC.
Okay.
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 Now, what am I going to do? Well, am I going to stay in Washington?
Oh, that had to be stressful.
It wasn't really that stressful. I was young. Life was just
you gonna go? Yeah, I'll get something else. I'm not gonna worry about it. Yeah, yeah.
I'm empowered, right? Because this job has given me so much confidence. I've learned so much. Okay, I got my degree now. I have this job, and I've been applying what I've learned. Oh,
you know your
right
stuff, right? you're the diva.
I'm the diva. So, make a long story short, so I decided to move to Houston. Oh, I've never been to Houston. Why not just move to Houston? Didn't know anybody in Houston. So at the time, I was wearing my hair in like a little short perm pixie, right?
Okay.
But all my life, I've gone from short afros to pixies. So I said, well, I'm moving to a southern state. I'm about to shave my hair because they need to know this is the African-American queen they're about to get. And I shaved my hair. My afro was this big when I moved to Texas.
So you left Washington, totally new identity, and a totally new way of showing up.
Yes.
You decided that
I was going to be a different
you
person.
wanted change.
I wanted to change.
And in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
Not just
because I already knew that these people in the South don't see many women with short afros. Okay. So I'm sitting at, I don't even know what it was. I'm going to say some type of chicken restaurant because that's what we eat. I'm sitting there outside, and this guy walks up to me and said, "You couldn't possibly be from here." Knew it by the way that I looked.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, I eventually grew my hair back out, but I started out with the short afro because I don't know if anybody knows this little tip. Humidity is beautiful for your skin and your hair. My hair started growing like weeds, so I didn't know anybody to cut my afro, so I just permed it again. But anyway, when I moved to Houston, I hooked up with 2 guys that was a friend of a young lady that I had met while I lived in D.C. So the moment I landed, there was the networking.
Here we go. Network. Yes.
So these 2 guys embraced me and they started taking me around to different social events. I started going to church with them. I even dated one of them for a little while. And then Houston is where I met my ex-husband, the father of my children.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I thought you met him in Atlanta.
No. I met him in Houston.
Okay.
And, so I was in Houston. I was in Washington, D.C. almost 5 years. And I go to Houston, and I'm there for another maybe 3 to 4 years because the same thing happened. This temporary agency that was created because our insurance firm ran out of money only had a 5-year I'm going to call it lifespan. They only created it for 5 years. So they got rid of that agency.
Oh, wow.
So, I got to go back to when I first started working there. When I first started working there, that office had no people that looked like me. None. And it was from a town.
And that's really interesting because we find ourselves in that position so many times and trying to figure out how to navigate that landscape.
That's why I brought that up.
Yeah. That is a very I'll say challenging, but at the same time, it's an area that we have to navigate with a sense of pride and a sense of who we are.
That's what
knowing who we are and believing in who we
and
are.
believing in who we are.
So that's really interesting.
So when I met with the director that ran that office, you know what he told me? He said, "You were forced on us." You know, I told him,
Oh, really?
I said, "I probably am." I said, "But you're gonna love me when the kids all over."
Okay.
With my short afro,
Oh,
okay?
that's
And
what
he
I'm talking
did.
about.
He
Okay.
loved me so much that he introduced me to one of his friends to date. And I started dating his friend.
Oh,
How
wow.
about that?
Isn't that
Isn't
something?
that something?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Hmm.
So you start dating his friend, but where is this dynamic with when you meet the guy that you eventually fall in love
So,
with?
Houston is so very, very hot, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you come from up north, your blood is thicker and everything. So I'm just profusely sweating. Back in those days, we still wearing pantyhose and suits and all of that. So every day when I got off work, I would go to my car now, and I'm gonna say this on camera, and I would take off all
Oh,
underneath my
okay. And
clothes.
we're
Okay.
not gonna beep it out. We're not gonna beep it out.
It's
So
not because I'm just tempted, I'm cooling down. And I took off those holes, and then I would drive home.
yeah.
And when it's hot outside, I know a lot of women don't like beer, but I like to drink a beer when I get home.
Okay.
Just like from work, when it's hot outside, it just tastes so good.
Okay.
So I was at the store picking up a six pack. It's a true story. And I was walking into my house. I remember the beer, Dos Equis Dark, because that's what I used to drink back then.
Okay.
And here comes this Guyanese man. I used to see him, and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I introduced myself. He said, "I haven't seen you around." I said, "Well, I just moved here, and I told him my little story." He says, "Well, would you want to go out tonight?" Because I said,
You're just networking all over the
I'm
place.
networking all over the
All
place.
over the place,
So,
right into
when
into a
you're young,
relationship.
you're young. You just do whatever you feel like. Start thinking
But
about
at
the
the same
risk.
time, the risk is there, but also the energy of people feeling that you're approachable enough to
Exactly.
have a conversation with them
Exactly.
and to at least be able to communicate with
Mhm.
them on an intelligent level.
Exactly.
You know?
So he asked me out that night. "You want to go out tonight?" No, that's what he said. He said, "Well, I said, it's hot out here. I'm not going to stand out here and talk all day." He said, "Well, can I come into your apartment?" I'm like, "I don't even know you." I said, I got faith. I said, I prayed over,
Okay.
I'm going to let you in. But I said, I'm just going to tell you one thing. I'm from Chicago. That's a gangster town. You, you have to be a little crazy with it, right? I
Okay.
did say it.
Okay.
And I said, so I'm not going to go down.
Shout out to
Shout out
Chicago.
to Chicago. That's a good quality when you're by yourself and your 20s, okay?
Because there's so many great qualities that Chicagoans have.
Exactly.
And one of the qualities we have, we are very friendly
Right.
people and we are approachable
Exactly.
if the energy is right.
If the energy is right.
Yeah.
So I let him come in.
Mm-hmm.
He had his beer. I had mine.
Okay.
We drank a couple of beers. I said, well, let's get ready to go out. So he went back to his apartment. He lived in the apartment complex.
Okay.
And we went out. And so I remember his friend meeting me at the club. We were standing on the top of the stairs, and he was holding my hand. And he said, "This man doesn't hold anybody's hand in public." He said, "You must be his wife or something."
He had already gotten to the
Yeah.
hand holding stage.
We were standing there holding hands in the club. I think I've ever told this story.
Okay. All right. Tell me more.
That's all there is to it. So one thing led to another, and we moved in together. And then we got married. Very tiny wedding. I think it might have been 20 people there, mostly his family. And my mom came down and my sister, and we married. And then that job went away. So I had to decide if I was moving to Dallas, back to DC, Jersey, and Atlanta. And I was pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
So now I have to decide. I don't want to have my first baby alone. Now now I need help. Now I'm in a territory I don't know anything about.
So you're in
Houston.
Houston. You're married now.
Yes.
You're pregnant.
Yes.
And you have no family there.
None.
Wow. And what did you do?
I moved back to Chicago. When you think I took that bond, I said, I'm going home.
Okay. So how long were you in Chicago before you went to another
Okay,
state?
so I had my son. I was six months pregnant by the time I moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And, the beautiful thing about moving, the government, when they force you, they pack up everything and all you have to do is show up.
Yes.
So I just love that part of moving with them. So anyway, so they set my stuff up, I put it in storage, and I moved in with my twin sister, who had a son a year before me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now my husband and I and my son, moved in with her. It was a lot. We stayed for about, I say, a year, and then we moved up north to an apartment.
Okay.
And then from that apartment,
North Chicago, in Chicago
Logan
on the
Square,
north side.
Logan Square,
Okay.
and an apartment on the third
Sure.
floor.
Sure.
Now, I wasn't
On
working
the third
on
floor.
the third floor. I wasn't working, right?
Okay.
So I had this baby, and I took off a year. I said, I'm going to take off a year because I'm nursing and doing all the right things and making all the baby food, wearing a different hat, the mother hat, right? Because I want my son to get a really good start in life. So I sacrificed a lot of funds because my husband was looking for work at the time as well.
Okay.
So we were living off of our savings, right?
Yeah.
So he found work, and I still hadn't found work. And so then finally, about 4 months after I found work way up in Northbrook, right? So I was driving from Logan Square to the west side.
And anyone who knows Northbrook from in Chicago,
Mhm.
from Chicago, we know that is quite a hike. I mean, that's a distance.
It's no good way to get there.
Yeah. And so you're really taking a long trip, like going from one destination to another. I mean, you're still in the same state, and you know, if that's
Right.
any consolation. But Northbrook from Chicago
Mhm.
is what, 45 minutes to an hour, if
When
not
when
longer?
traffic is good. When traffic is good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. Now I'm using my network. I came back. I'm networked with my sister, my twin sister, and I move in with her.
Okay.
And I'm networked. So she's helping me out. So I move up north, and I need a sitter. Now I got to go to work. So my mother was
So you left your sister,
moved up north.
moved up north, didn't have a sister, didn't have a
No one was
family
up north.
member.
Everybody was west and south when I moved up north. I just liked the north side because that's where I moved to when I
But
when
you
I
had
turned
to
18.
start finding relationships so
No.
that you can have someone to help you watch your
I
kids
took
or
my son right back to my mom on the west side.
okay.
So now I'm driving Logan Square to the west side in the morning. From west side to Northbrook. Northbrook
That's a lot of
back to the
driving.
west side, and
That's
then
a lot
to
of driving.
Logan Square. I used to get home at 7, 8 o'clock at night. So this company decides it's going out of business.
No.
So I mean,
No.
these are things.
No.
But I don't even those by that time those opportunities going out of business. I look at them as opportunities.
Oh, sure.
They were not
They were
anything I
growth.
was afraid of yet because I still was young enough to have confidence in myself to know that I have a skill set
Yes.
that I can sell and use and make money off of.
Yes.
Right. So my ex-husband, on the other hand, his skill level was not as high. So I was truly the breadwinner. I mean, that's just the way that it was.
Okay.
But I don't mind saying that. And that's just the way that it is
Okay.
because the systemic things that go on in our communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well,
another-
that's another
that's
conversation. That's a whole nother
That's
conversation.
another podcast.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm gonna stop there with that. So anyway, so now my mother, at the time my son was born, there were 6 boys born in my family in 2 years because I have 6 sisters.
Oh, wow.
So we all started having either our first child or our second child. So my mother had all 6 of them.
Oh,
So it was crazy. So anyway, she kept them. She kept them.
really?
She kept them.
Bless her. You know, back in those days, family was our network.
Family was our
Family,
network.
we
That's where it's
depended
going.
on our family.
Yes.
And my family was similar to that.
Mhm.
My grandmother watched us when we were younger.
Yes.
My aunts and uncles watched us. And that was our network.
It was our network.
You know, it was our
network.
captive network.
It was.
Organic network. Those were the people that we knew our parents' trust.
Right.
And we knew that we could depend on them and they would be there to support us.
And you also knew that your children was getting the same value system, good or bad, that you came up with.
Yes.
The same value system that you're familiar with. Let's go
Yes.
there. That's,
Yes.
that's the right word because it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just what you know.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So-
That's true.
Yeah. And my ex-husband's family was from South America, from Guyana. And I met him in Houston. And his people came through Canada to Houston. So none of his family was in the U.S. at
Oh,
this time.
wow. Okay.
So it was just my family. Now his family had moved back to Canada.
Okay.
So
Now you're in Northbrook.
now I'm in
You
Northbrook.
moved away from your family, going back and forth on these long rides.
Yes.
So you decide to.
The company was merging with another company. I was pregnant again with my twins at that time. I didn't know I was having twins, but I was pregnant with my twins.
And you didn't think that the twin would have a twin?
It usually skips a generation, but it hadn't done it in my family yet. So, so I'm pregnant and I'm doing this drive, right? It's taxing. It's a lot. But, we're super women. We all have an S on our chest.
Yes,
We
yes,
can
yes,
take
yes,
women.
yes,
So
yes.
I'm wearing my S proudly. I can do this. So anyway, making a long story short, they asked me, do you want to get laid off? Yes. Please lay me off. Yes, lay me off. When I'm about to have a child and you're going to give me a year's severance, I can do
Oh,
this,
so they
right?
gave you an awesome
He gave
packet
me
that
an
made it
awesome
worth
package, made it worth my
Mhm.
while. So in the meantime, we had moved from Logan Square to Oak Park. We bought our first house.
Okay.
So now I'm a little nervous. Got the first house, right? Don't have some savings, but when you're starting out young and back in the day, you weren't making big salaries like the young kids are now.
Sure.
So I was saving, but a little bit,
Oak
wasn't a
Park,
whole
Oak
lot.
Park
The taxes were high.
yeah, that's not some place
So,
that
but
you
the
can,
school system, right?
yeah,
I moved there for the school system. So
yeah.
I had opportunities to buy in the neighborhood that I grew up in. But at that point, it was going down and they were letting it go so far down until they regentrified. You know how that process
Yes.
goes. Another podcast too.
Yes.
So now I'm pregnant with my twins, not knowing I'm having twins, and I'm laid off. So I go into labor. This is a fun story. And I think I'm in labor and I go to the doctor and they go, there's something wrong with you, girl. You're not having this, you got too much fluid. We got to keep you overnight. You are totally high risk. Now I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. And they're telling me I'm high risk. I've been doing all my prenatal, everything. Nobody's ever told me I'm high risk. I'm going, this is weird. So anyway, long story short, they tell me I'm having twins the next day after I get checked into the hospital. Now I'm just going, this is way too much. Now I'm really scared. Now I have no job. Right. I'm 1 year severance. I'm 6 months into the severance and I gotten. So I'm getting a little nervous, right? My ex-husband still hasn't, his income hasn't come up. So I'm like, what are we going to do? So I started using my savings. I started drawing down monies that I had put away for retirement. I had to, right? Till I find another job. So I finally found another job back in the regulatory industry where I had left.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I went
Very
to
good.
insurance
Sure.
when
Sure.
I went in Northbrook. So now I'm back in banking regulatory and I'm with another organization and they closed that office.
Okay. So this industry is very volatile.
It's very volatile. Yes, it's very cyclical with what's going on. I don't know if in financial industries, they have a cycle of about 7 years, right? So you get fluctuations of a good booming economy and then you drop. Booming, then you drop. And you have to go, and when you're regulatory, you have to go where the crisis is.
And so that's how you ended up moving
these
around.
places. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Now, Atlanta came about because I was in bank. I wasn't doing bank examination at first, but I went into bank examination because I knew that they had made more money.
Mhm.
They got to travel a lot, but I started traveling and then I noticed that my 3 kids wasn't getting the care that I would have liked for them to get. So my ex-husband and I started tag teaming. I would take first shift, he would take second shift, but when I'm out of town, I got to bring somebody in. Sure, it's costing too much money. So I had an opportunity to move again. Do you want to move to DC? Do you want to move to Jersey? Do you want to move to Atlanta?
Oh, wow.
Oh, let's go to Atlanta. Pick one. So now everybody has to come. The husband and all the 3 children.
Of course, the husband and the 3 children. You would expect they would all come.
So that's how we ended up in Atlanta.
Wow.
And so every
So
time
you've gone through some adventures, and every adventure seemed like you had to put roots down and start meeting people and making contact and connections and all of those locations.
Right. So I get to Atlanta and I go on a couple of scouting trips. I find this house that I just absolutely love. And the house is on the market one day. And I walked into the house and I told my realtor, I'm going to buy this house, put in the full offer I wanted. I said, put it in right now. So we put the full offer in. And she said, she doesn't know if she wants to sell it. This is the first offer. I said, let me write her a letter. So I wrote her a letter and told her I came from Chicago. I have these 3 sons. Now, mind you, the community I live in wasn't a lot of me in there. So I'm one of the people on the block that's given to Melon in the community. So I wrote this letter. And this house was only owned by one person. It was the lady before me.
Okay.
So I get the house. So I go to closing. And her son-in-law came with her, and he is the director over the Park District's Little League program for baseball.
Okay.
He said, you should enroll your boys. He said, "This starts next week." I said, "I'm going to enroll them." So I went and I enrolled my sons into Little League, and I sit down on the bench next to this woman who was my neighbor on the next street with boys the exact same age as mine. We became friends. I'm still friends with these people. They took care of my kids for me. They
So,
kept my
what
kids.
I'm sitting and I'm hearing this,
Hmm.
Val. I am hearing
Yes,
this thread of
yes,
network, this thread of communication.
yes.
And I know, knowing your personality and the type of person you are, you just make connections.
I just,
You make connections. And do you, being from a larger family, like you said earlier, being able to, kind of have your space and being one of the children and one of the younger children in your
mhm,
family, it taught you a lot of life skills because as I listen to what you're saying, it's not difficult for you to meet
it's
people.
not
And
difficult.
and here's the thing that's really interesting. It's comfortable.
I'm very comfortable.
It's comfortable. And I was talking to my husband the other day, and one of the things that we talked about was the things that we learn when we're younger, right?
Hmm.
Come in the house, you speak.
Hmm.
You sit at a table at an event. You introduce yourself.
Hmm.
You say hello to people just because,
Because,
just because.
mhm,
And when I hear you talk and I hear how you greet people and how you start conversations,
yeah,
I can understand how your network is so strong and how you're able to build networks because those are just the basics.
those are just the basics. So when you're building your network and when you're in these different places where you don't know anyone, you honestly have to decide that there is no secrets. You have no secrets. So when you sit next to these people, you start telling the story that's on your mind.
And the key,
It's just a natural flow, right?
you said a key word, story. You're telling your story
Yes,
and that you're sharing from a
yes,
place of your heart and compassion.
yes.
And they're accepting your story. They're listening.
So I sit next to this woman and I say, and of course, we introduce ourselves. I said, "Girl, I just moved on this block." I said, "I don't know anybody in this town." She's 9 of 11. She comes from
Oh
this
my
huge family,
goodness.
right?
Really?
And we start
Really?
talking. She got all these sisters. I said, "I don't know where the cleaners is. I don't know where the hospital is. I don't know where anything is," right? She says, "We live 1 block away from each other." She wrote down, her and her sister, she was with her sister, sat down and wrote a long list of all these things I should know about our neighborhood.
Isn't that
It was
incredible?
incredible.
That is.
I started going over the house. When I didn't go home for Easter, for Christmas, we started coming up to each other's houses. My boys started spending the night. They started picking my kids up when I couldn't get to work.
Val, that is an
It's
incredible
just
network. And,
incredible.
and, and today, people just, they don't have that comfort level. Growing up, we would have to make sure our yard was clean,
Hmm.
make sure the neighbor's yard was
Hmm.
clean, make sure that if something was going on in the community, we would let our neighbors know. We would talk to them, we would speak to them.
Exactly.
And so, like you're saying, this lady, you just met her, but she was nice enough to compile a list of all these activities, of all these resources that you needed to know. Let me ask you this.
Hmm.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to digress just a little bit.
Hmm.
The lady who owned the house, that means you got the house?
Oh yeah, I got the house. Yes, I got the house. She loved my story. I loved that house. I mean, I never loved the house, but I loved that house simply because
And
it was
this
a
was in
ranch. It was
Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Oh
It was
my
in a great
goodness.
location, and so it was funny because when I wrote in my letter, I said I was looking for a neighborhood that was very similar to the one I just moved from, and your neighborhood came up.
Oh,
I said
wow.
my children was thriving there, and I know that they would thrive here as well. It's one of the things I wrote in the letter.
So your story,
My
you
story.
told
I
a
told my
story
story.
that touched her heart.
You
You know,
cannot be shy about who you are. You have to just open up about who you. I have no secrets.
and why should you be shy if you're
That's
proud
exactly
of
it.
who you are? One
Exactly.
thing I'm
Good.
learning today, even in business, I do a lot of training through Tony Robbins.
Hmm.
And one of the things that he really teaches strongly is telling your story.
Hmm.
know your story, feel proud of your story, and tell your story because that's what's going to connect you.
That's what connects you with
Up,
anyone.
yes, yes,
Across from anywhere. That's what
yeah.
connects you. So I don't mind telling my story. I don't mind listening to other people's stories. And that's how I learn. I learn so much from people
Yes,
by listening to their
yeah.
stories. My networking system is maybe a little bit unorthodox than most people's. They might be looking for work, and
But it works. It works
but
for
it
you.
works for
Yeah,
me.
yes.
And I never had to really network to look for work. Okay. I had to network to live.
Oh, wow.
That's where my networking came in.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is.
That is interesting.
Yes, it
I
is.
mean, I've not had to be in that position, but on my end, I did a lot of networking for business,
Hmm.
and that was the way I was able to grow my business by
Right.
being around, being in the room, and like you said, in some cases, being in the room meant I was the only one of my hue in
That's
the
right.
room.
That's right.
And so learning to network
That's
is
right.
how I got to the next step and the next level and the next level.
Yes.
And even like you're saying with your children and your family, so many young people today are making that step and that journey of leaving home, going to other states,
Hmm.
but they don't know
But
how
they
to
don't know
network.
how. It's a funny thing you said that. That segues me into when I was talking to my son about doing your podcast. I said, I have to really give some deep thought into who I am. So, I don't do that. We was laughing, right? I said, your mom likes to stay surface. It's just easy up there, right? So we started laughing. He says, well, mom, talk about, how different the generations are in what you are from
Yes,
what we
there
do.
is a
He said
difference.
that. He brought that to me.
Yes.
He said, our social skills, he said, we don't have many. He said, you could talk about how, we do everything through electronics. And when you tell me,
Which
like,
shuts our network down
shut,
sort of because we're kinda isolated. And,
yes,
as I said in the introduction, um, there is a problem, especially with African American women over 50 being isolated.
yes,
And the statistics show that 60% of African American women are doing it on their own. They
yes,
are in a household, a beautiful home,
yes,
great careers,
yes.
and some have families, others don't,
Others don't.
and they're alone.
Well, I'm alone. I mean, I was married.
But there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
I agree.
A lot of them are lonely
And
because
alone.
they don't build those networks.
That's true.
Now I have the money, now I have the house, but who's here?
Yeah. So all of my moves, I mean, I could have made a whole lot more money in my career had I made some different strategic moves. I didn't do certain things because I wanted to always be available for my family.
Oh,
So
sure.
I gave up certain promotions and certain positions to be managers and be gone a lot of hours. I lived off of what I needed and my ability to save some. I had a formula that I lived off of because I didn't need to be a mega earner.
Sure,
It
sure.
wasn't my goal to be a mega earner because I realized that money can only take you so far in life.
Exactly.
You can hug it, but it won't make you not feel lonely,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So,
And money, as people say, for the love of money, that's you loving
mhm,
your money, but money don't love you back.
money doesn't love you back. And
So,
so, and money can't scratch it back. Money can't help you when you can't get off the sofa because your leg is broken.
yes.
I mean, you can pay somebody to do that,
No.
but will they do it with love?
Yeah.
They'll do it because it's their
Compassion.
job,
Yeah.
right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
So, I when I'm in retirement now, and I'm looking at the resources that I have. Today, I told you before I came, I had a meeting with my financial planner. He said, "You have done so well for yourself."
Fantastic.
I
Isn't that
was
good
so
to know?
pleased. Yes, I was very pleased. I just don't know how it happened. The grace of God.
Yes.
Because I was making decisions not just for myself, but for my family. And you get that back in many
Yes.
different ways.
Yeah.
And I've gotten it back in my retirement.
And I know you're happy. Because you just glow. You're just glowing. So let me get into a few of these
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
So many of us was raised to, like you said, do it all ourselves. We don't need anyone. Um, we're independent. You've been very successful in your career. You've raised your sons.
Mhm.
You don't need anyone. So when you look back at your career life, when did you realize that doing it all alone can cost you more than it gives you.
Mhm. I saw that question, and that's when I decided I didn't want to do this podcast because I had to think so hard about the right answer, about what that really meant
Yeah.
to me, honestly. I was like, what does this really mean?
Yeah.
When did this happen? Because we move through life so fluidly, we don't even reflect on how decisions are being made and what values we're using to make them. So I would say when I first started trying to get promoted to be a manager,
Okay.
right?
Tell me.
And I kept getting turned down.
Mhm.
When you get the job, certainly qualified, but I wasn't getting the job. I'm thinking to myself, why am I not getting this job? Why do they not want me to be a manager? So I said, it could be because I'm a direct communicator. It could be because I put my family first. It could be because I haven't networked enough because I've been like this mega contributor,
Okay.
individual
Okay.
mega contributor,
Okay.
didn't make enough alliances. People really don't know who I am, right?
Mm.
These are the types of things I thought about. And I think all of what I'm saying is true, that I didn't get the managerial job. So then as I fast forward to what has happened in my life, because I tried again and I never got it. But then one time when I was able to get it, I turned it down. I decided I didn't want it because I liked who I had become. I like non-managing adults because I start thinking about who I am and
So
how I show
did
up.
you think that that was too much of a price to pay to take away from who
Absolutely.
you wanted to show
Absolutely.
up as?
That's a perfect
Your
way to put
authentic
it.
self
My
is
authentic self.
yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Perfect
you
way
were
to put it.
very comfortable with who you were and how you were navigating your life
That's correct.
in that space.
In that space.
Yeah.
And so now this
And time. In that
that's right.
space and
This
time.
opportunity is coming at a time when my kids are in college. I'm about to be a little bit freer. Do I really want to be work that hard? I've already worked hard, and I know I got to get them through college. I've already planned for that. We're doing okay. I think I'm okay. I think I don't want to manage a person like me or other adults, because when you manage people, you have to take on a lot of other,
Yeah.
and
you have to
experience.
know where your comfort level is.
That's right.
You have to know because, and I tell people all the time, simply because you have a title called manager does not mean you're a leader.
That's right.
So you are a leader.
That's right.
And you don't necessarily have to carry that title. I have seen you do so many things and talk to women
Yes.
and even in your family. So you are a true leader, but your title does not have to define
Exactly.
who you are.
Exactly. So I decided to lead through mentorship. So
Oh, fantastic.
when I
Yes.
started working through some of these, moving from different places. Okay, so you don't even know that people are really watching you, right? So
Oh, they
they watch you. So I've always carried myself very professionally,
Mhm.
and I have a love for clothes. So I just put on my stuff, and it makes you feel good. It makes you show up your authentic self and all those
Sure.
things. So one young lady, when I moved back to Chicago from the Atlanta move, we didn't get to the end of that story, but Atlanta brought me back to Chicago in 2012. Right?
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
that was one move that I was a little sour about because I didn't want to leave. I really liked it there. Now, I had an opportunity to not continue to work in my field and look for work outside of my field, but I was too far in it. I'm almost at retirement. I'm not about to give up this whole nest because I don't want to leave a city.
So let me ask you this. You did 30, 40 years, did you say, working? And it was not for the same company,
Not for the same federal regulatory agency.
but in the same
different-
industry.
Pretty well, I'm gonna tell you when I first started working for the federal government. You remember those CEDAR programs back
Oh,
in the
yes,
day?
yes, yes.
I was a
Oh,
secretary
yes.
of the Army recruiting station on Mass. Remember?
Yes.
I used to go in there and be a secretary. I used to administer the aptitude test for applicants when they
So
went to join the Army.
you've been in the struggle for a long time.
A long time, girl. I had to get my parents' permission to work under the CEDAR
I remember
program.
those programs. I remember those
So,
programs. And
anyway.
so many of us
Yes.
work for those programs back
Yes.
in the day, especially if I'm not sure about other states, but if you were in Chicago,
Yes.
Illinois, yes,
That's how
you
I
were
got my
familiar with
start.
those.
Federal
Yeah.
government. Then when I got out of this federal government, out of that work job, I went to work as a legal secretary for the Social Security Administration, litigation department. And that job took me all the way to college.
So you had just accumulated time
Accumulated
over the years.
Didn't even know what I was doing, just accumulating time.
That's
It's
fantastic.
fantastic. So let me finish this story about mentorship because this is a good one.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead, tell us.
So I'm in Chicago in 2012 is when I come back.
Okay.
And I don't want to be here. So I'm a little bit uptight. So I'm just keep it to myself, coming in sharp as ever, just getting my job done and having to learn something completely new. That's a different part of the story. But this one young lady, African-American young lady, walked up to me and she said, I've been watching you for 6 straight months. She said, you have not worn the same outfit once. And she said, and I know you know what you're doing because I have been reviewing your work. She said, will you mentor me?
Oh, that is so
The
fantastic.
best compliment I could have ever gotten. And so
So she had eyes on
she
you.
had eyes on me. I didn't even know it.
Here's another tip that I've learned. Tony Robbins. One of the things that he said is history repeats itself.
Mhm.
Look at the patterns of history. People who look at patterns can discover success patterns.
Mhm.
And if that young lady is looking at you, she's looking at your pattern.
Mhm.
She's looking at how you showed up every day.
Right.
She's looking at how you presented yourself
Right.
every day. And now she wants to model
What
the pattern of what she's seeing as success. So
Mhm.
to her, you were just, I mean, you probably was utopia showing up in the form of a woman who she felt that she can honor and respect.
Exactly.
And
We're
she
friends.
wanted to be like.
We're still friends.
Isn't that something? Because we are so quick to kind of write things up. Oh, she's dressing. She's a good dresser.
Mhm.
But this young lady
Mhm.
saw more.
Mhm.
She wanted you to mentor her because she saw your pattern of showing up
Did.
and showing up in your authentic self and showing up as your best self and sharp every day.
Every day.
And sharp every day.
Yeah. So, and just to segue to the end of how this whole mentor and networking thing showed up is that all of a sudden at lunchtime, all the African American young women was in my office.
Oh,
We would go get
my
our
goodness.
lunch. I had a round table in there. We would go get our lunch and we would sit there and we would talk about whatever they wanted to discuss.
Isn't that
And I
fantastic?
was what? The matriarch. Now that is honor.
That
right?
was
I'm still
fantastic.
friends with those ladies today. All of them.
Now that's a network. That's a network we're speaking
Now,
about. Yes.
I'm learning tons of things from them. They're young. They're teaching me when I don't know something about the computer, when I don't know something, I call these ladies, right?
So that's your millennial network.
Yes. And I
So
love
they help you. Let me ask you this, Val.
Yes.
You've worn many hats.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're speaking of your career, your mother, your beautiful grandmother, Miss Sassy.
Yes.
And you were a single woman at this
Yes.
time. What does a real support system or network look like to you? You know, or what does it look like for women like you? And what are some of the ways that, you look outside to build those kinds of networks?
So when, I'm going to look at my notes on this one because I wrote down some words that are important to me to see that's important to other people for me to trust them and to become a part of my network.
And tell me how you find people to be a part of your network.
You randomly find them. You find them in elevators. You find them in restaurants. You find them. That's how I met Johnny and Amy.
Oh, wow.
Friends.
Two of the other friends. Yes.
You find them. I said,
You met them in a
in a
restaurant?
restaurant.
Isn't that fantastic?
We were in a restaurant. I said, don't I know you from somewhere? Don't I know you from somewhere? You don't know me. You know who that was. You don't know me.
Right. And you guys have been friends for
22
years now.
The year that I got back, 2012.
Wow.
I met them in a restaurant.
So much so
those
that
ladies.
you've done so many things together.
Yes.
And they also have networks that they've included
Yes.
you in, and that has
Yes.
helped grow,
There you go.
expand, and
There you
on and
go.
on. That is
There you go.
fantastic.
So now one of the interesting things I'm going to make a point about networking is this and how you find your network. Before I moved away from Chicago,
Mhm.
I didn't have a network. I had 6 sisters. I didn't even try to make friends with people because it was enough to have sisters. I have a twin sister. I went to them for everything.
Okay.
We did everything together. So it was I just didn't have enough bandwidth to have friends outside of that. Because honestly, coming up with the family of 11, I'm gonna tell you, all I wanted to do was be 18 and move out on my own. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
just a
can I
lot.
can imagine when you
It's
have that many
it
siblings.
was a
Yeah.
lot.
We want our
We wanted
independence. We want we want to
independence.
show who we
Yes,
are and our
yes.
capabilities as young adults now.
And because I was a commuter in school, I would go to work in the morning, go to class at U of I, Illinois, Chicago, go back to work,
Oh,
go back to class in the evening. I was on the bus
okay.
and I had to dress in heels. I was that girl. I was that girl who used to start with a book bag and a briefcase, looking good, tired, by the end of 10 o'clock at night, riding the bus up north to my apartment.
Oh, wow.
So my point is that so now I'm in these different places. What's important to me? What's important? So I'm looking for somebody that's like my sisters. That's where I'm going. So these words come up, okay?
Okay. Okay.
And it is characteristics that I value in people
Okay.
that if I trust them, that's who I want to be around.
Sure.
Okay.
Tell me more.
So it's family. These people, family is important to them.
Very important.
The honesty.
Yes.
When they come up, they show up honest, whether it's good or bad stuff they want to say, but it's their honest opinion,
Okay.
right? Intelligence, that honesty is based on something,
Mm-hmm.
not just throwing them off the cuff, right?
Yeah.
Faith, gotta have faith in God. He protects us all. He gives us this mind,
Isn't that the truth?
body, and soul.
Mhm.
Yes, everything, right? Responsibility. I trust people who have shown me that they can handle their lives. I'm not gonna take advice from someone who's willy-nilly. Now, I could learn something from them, but I may not take advice,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Respect, huge, right?
Okay.
Flexibility in the thought process, how to get things done. Not so rigid that in order to get to Z, you got to go A, B, C, D. You can go another way and get there, but you're still at Z, right?
So I'm gonna have to go through some of these questions that I have here
Yes.
because you're answering a bunch of them right here.
Okay.
And which is great because those characteristics are characteristics that you really want in a person, in a friend, in an associate even. Because one thing I've learned is that if you don't feel comfortable being in the room with those people, you have a choice.
That's right.
You have a choice to go there.
Right.
You have a choice not to. I
That's
have a
right.
choice to call you up and say, I want to have a conversation with you
Mhm.
based on the fact that I'm comfortable with your conversation. I'm comfortable with who you are, and I have a choice not to.
Exactly.
So we have to be very clear about who
Correct.
we surround ourselves with.
Correct.
We have to be very clear about our audience.
That's correct.
Who do we give an audience to?
Correct.
Who do we
And
give
that's
our
what I
energy
base it on.
to?
That's what I base it on.
Wow. And those are incredible.
Mhm.
Those are incredible. And like I said, some of those you've hit upon. You found Annie and Johnny out just at a casual.
Annie and I exchanged numbers because both of our children was attending Southern Illinois University for the first year as a freshman. My oldest son, Nigel, was going to Southern, and her daughter, Taylor, was going to
Yes.
Southern.
Okay.
And so we exchanged numbers.
Okay.
That was the commonality right there. And it grew from there.
Okay. So tell me this. Those ladies are beautiful ladies with beautiful personalities. But how do you learn the difference between someone who is in your corner, who is truly in your corner, and someone who is a drain?
Mhm.
How do you learn? I mean, how have you, especially with you having sisters and siblings, what has been your flag, your red flag?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got to refer to some of my notes on some of these things because
Please.
I gave them some thought. I don't want to be willy-nilly talking here.
Because we do need to know
Right. Right.
this person sucks my energy. This person lifts me up. How do you determine that?
Mhm, mhm. So I started. I say this. I said this is a hard question because sometimes you don't know until you've gotten burned, right?
Okay.
Sometimes you don't know, but I said in general, I look for things like this: inconsistent statements regarding
Somebody who always has something negative to say.
right, or just inconsistent. One day on a particular topic they're here, and one day they're over here.
Oh,
That means that they're not giving thought. They're reacting and they're not being, to me, their authentic selves. Or they're ready to throw you underneath the bus in the workplace, especially if somebody's giving you inconsistent statements. That means that they're probably, let's say you walk into a room and all of a sudden the conversation changes to something else. They're probably talking about you, not in a good way. These are signs, right? These are the things that I look for, inconsistencies in how they speak
How
and
they
when you
show
walk
up.
into and how they
Mhm.
show up, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you feel that energy when you walk into a room.
Okay.
I'm a big energy person, right? And I have a big personality, as you can probably see. But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm very reserved
And
because I like to
having that
watch.
energy, and being a steward of energy,
Hmm.
of how people show you who they are,
Yes. Yes.
and really accepting when they show you who they are.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Hmm.
Maya Angelou.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But
That's
you
right.
have to you have to be like sometimes just silent and know.
Hmm.
Let me listen.
Observe.
Let me
Yeah.
observe. Let
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
hear. Yeah.
Observe.
Yeah.
So and also I look for when people say things like, "I thought we discussed this already," or "You didn't know that," because they're telling you after the fact that something has happened to you, and then they go, "Oh, you didn't know that?" Well, if they're your friend, they're gonna make sure you know what you need to know before you enter that
Sure they
space,
are.
right?
Sure.
That's how I know people aren't in my corner. When they set me up, when they keep saying to me things like that, I know that this person doesn't have me my best interest, because if they did, why wouldn't this person tell me before they had to say that to me?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
Small little signs, right?
And just having that security and comfort level that we're close enough friends that I can pull you to the side and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, sis,
Mhm.
this is what's going on, and I'm concerned.
Yeah. Let's
I'm
be
concerned
proactive
about
with
you.
information.
Let me remove myself from this equation. This is about you, and I want to let you know
Yeah.
that these are my concerns regarding what I know and what I think."
Right.
I mean,
What you
what
know
else
and
can
what you
you
think.
ask for?
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, these are the signs I look for in people, right? Now, I don't say, "Oh, I'm never gonna be their friend anymore." Like I just remove myself from their space, like you said.
Now let me ask you this.
Mhm.
With your organic network, your family, your
Mhm.
friends, your coworkers, your church members, how did you learn to honor both without running yourself empty
Mhm.
and without just turning yourself over to everyone? Because
Right.
even in our networks, we do
It's
so
a lot.
much.
It's a
We
lot.
do so much,
It's a
and
lot.
people want us to do so much. So how and what are your principles
Mhm.
that help you to determine this is a boundary? This is
Mhm.
where I stop.
Mhm. Mhm. So I thought about that question. So, our friend group is big. I have the young friend group that's big. I have the family that's big. How do I get all these people? How do I show them all some love? Sometimes you just have a party and you invite them all.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very serious. I do small groups. I get with your group. I get with my young friend group. We all get together and we go to brunch or we call each other.
Yeah.
We do conference calls.
Sure. Yep.
Sometimes you communicate on a network line like we do in our friend group,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And you
Yes.
send information that way. All these things help to stay in contact with your people
Yes.
and
Yes.
not run yourself ragged,
Yeah.
right?
And also to stay in contact with your people. So again, going back to that being alone.
Yeah.
So now you're still in that circle, in that network,
Yeah.
and people know, oh, I know that Sarah she lives alone, but wow, she just responded to the text. Let me send something nice to her.
Right.
Let me send something
Right.
uplifting.
Yes.
And so that's still a part of your network. That's
Mhm.
encouraging your network. That's building your network
Exactly.
and supporting each other through the
Exactly.
network.
So and I schedule check-in times. If I haven't heard from somebody in about 2 weeks, I'm like, I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. Let me send a text message. Let
Yes.
me call.
Yes.
Small little bitty things like that. Let me invite her to
Oh, sure.
breakfast. Let me invite her to dinner. Let's do a one-on-one this time.
Let me cook her some gumbo.
Yes, yes.
That gumbo you cooked was just off the chain. It was
Thank
just
you.
off the chain.
talked about the gumbo. I love that.
Look, my husband is still talking about the gumbo you cooked and sent over here.
Mhm.
He still is. And that
Love
was
that.
fantastic. Thank you for thinking of
So
us.
you see, that's my network, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
now when it's time for something fun, just go stop calling Val. She fun. Just don't call me up.
Of course. But now, on the other side of that, though,
Yeah.
on the other side, let me just kind of play a little bit of devil's advocate.
Mhm.
When you have that person who always complains, always has a problem, and you know that person is going to reach out to you because you're the person that they want to solve your problems.
Mhm.
How do you, or what do you do to manage that
I know
kind
that's
of
it's
energy?
hard. It's hard. It is energy that can sometimes affect
It can
you.
be negative
It's
energy.
it's sometimes it
Yeah.
affects you. Sometimes it can be just so concerning that you're reacting to their concerns as
Yeah.
well, right? So I try to when you're mentoring somebody or when you are trying to help someone, you try to get them to start thinking and problem solving on their own,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you kind of like talk with them a little bit through the issue, and then you say, you don't want to leave, but you say, if this were me, this is what I would do. But then you say, consider your circumstances. What's best for you?
Mhm.
How does this feel to you if you did this? How would you feel? So I try to coach a little bit and mentor.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Is it always important for you to solve someone else's
It's
problem?
not, but as a friend, it's important for me to help them think through the problem so they can solve it.
Okay.
I try to do that sometimes too. So not necessarily solving, but giving them the tools that they need
Okay.
so that they can, giving them some food for thought, that things that they haven't thought about that maybe could be a solution to their problem.
Sure.
Maybe they didn't know that these certain resources existed.
That is so true
Yes.
because I've learned,
Yes.
and people, like you said, some people are so close-lipped. They are
Yes.
so close-lipped. They
Yes.
don't want to talk about things. And what I've learned is that some of the things that you really don't want to talk about, someone else has already gone through them, and they can help you provide an answer.
That is why
They
you
may have
share.
resources, they may have connections, they may have someone that they can direct you to.
Mhm.
But if you don't say anything and you feel that this is a trusted friend
Mhm.
or someone that you can confide in, you may miss a blessing.
Right. Sometimes when I'm talking to people with problems, I tell a story. I'm truly talking about them, but I tell a story like it's about somebody else and truly just say, this is what happened to this person. This is what they did. And I could be telling the story about me, but I do third person so they can see they're not alone, right, in their situations. So just trying to bring them, you're not desperate. You don't have to, this isn't the end of the world. You're in a
Exactly.
bad spot. But
Exactly.
life goes on. Trust me, I'm this big old age now, and I can I can
That big old age.
attest to
That
that.
big old age. Well, we're getting close to the end of my
Yes,
questions.
yes.
I would like to know, when you're navigating connections, what do you think are different ways that you can expand your network? What do you think? Let me bring that in. How do you think that you can encourage other sisters to start generating
Mhm.
a network, start being a part of a network? Because a lot of people will sit back and, I'm good. I don't need
They do
anyone.
say I'm good. They do
I'm
say
good.
that. I
So,
used to be like that a
so
lot.
what changed, and how do you now? I know what you told, how you met Annie. I know
Mhm.
how I know how we met,
Mhm.
but what would you say to people who say I'm good? And then also, what are some of the ways that they can really start to? What are some of the places as well as ways they can start to look to for networks?
So it's a funny thing, right? So you have to do what you love, right? So I love jazz music, and there's this event coming up, right? That I really want to go to. And before I decided to reach out and ask a few people that I've asked, I was contemplating going by myself.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you're in an environment that you love with people that love the same thing that you do, you're going to meet someone.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. You're going to meet, you're going to sit there, you're going to be bobbing your head to the music. They're going to say, do you know this artist? Or however it happens. Right.
Okay.
I've done that a lot. I've gone places by myself and I meet a lot of people.
Okay.
It's a good way to do it. I know you from somewhere. You may not know this person, but you want to know them. I know you from somewhere. Just a line, a pickup line, but it worked for Annie and Johnny,
Sure. Sure.
right?
And even, one of the things that I've done at seminars.
Mhm.
Actually, 3 things. I've gotten my own name badge, so I have my own little pretty cute
Love
name
it.
badge, and I put my name badge on,
Yes.
and people walk up, "Hi, Joyce, how you doing?"
Exactly.
So it's automatic introduction. Another thing, I love brooches,
Mhm.
so I will wear a unique brooch to start a
Conversation starter
conversation.
for sure.
There's so
For
many
sure.
ways when you're looking at expanding your network, and it can be in the grocery store.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can meet people, like you said, at concerts.
Yes.
You just have to have that gift of discernment to know how far you wanna go as it pertains to providing information,
Exactly.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
and you have to know their energy.
Exactly.
And also, when you're looking at networking, I think you even mentioned schools, if your child is in school.
Exactly.
My daughter lives in Atlanta, and I'm always telling her about you, how you started meeting people in different states,
Mhm.
and you started your network there because by her being in Atlanta and her family being in Chicago, she
Mhm.
needs
She needs a
network.
network. She
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So, what would you say to a young person um who's trying to expand their network? Where do they start?
Well,
How do they?
she's got these babies. Got the little
She
babies, little
has
grandbabies,
two
the
beautiful
beautiful
young. Yes,
grandbabies.
she does.
Go to the park with your kids. Markets are at the park with their kids.
Yes. Yes, they are.
I mean, just common spaces that you go. You don't have to do anything that you're not comfortable with. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Go into the spaces where you're comfortable and just start a friendly conversation with somebody that you normally wouldn't talk to.
Okay.
I even in the workspace, I tell my sons, everybody know who you are in your department, right? I
Mhm.
said, in a meeting, sit next to somebody that's not in your department. I said,
Sit
and
next to
start,
somebody you don't know so that you can
that's
meet
correct.
meet a new
I said,
person.
and ask them a question. I said, pretty soon, everybody in all the other departments are going to know who you are. Your name is going to be being
Sure.
said
Sure.
all through the business lines. Lamar, Lance, Nigel. All the names are going to be called because people know who you are now.
Sure.
You're not just the man in IT.
But if you don't say anything, and if you sit there quietly,
They won't know who you
they
are.
will not know.
They will not know who you are.
No. So you do have to feel comfortable enough to use your voice.
You do.
As I say, use your outside voice. A lot of us use our inside voice. Oh, I'm here. I'm a part of the group.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's okay to use your outside voice and introduce yourself.
I totally agree with you.
Mhm.
I think that coming from a big family forces you out of your
Comfort level there.
comfort
Yeah.
level and out of your inside voice. If you don't say, I want that piece of chicken, you're not going to get it. Okay, girlfriend? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I just like to be a little bit funny when I speak, but so people can relate to this. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So my whole thing is, even if you're uncomfortable doing anyway, because somebody's just as uncomfortable as you. Most of the time, people are feeling the same things.
Yes.
The feelings that you feel are not unique to you. These are feelings that everybody has.
Yes. Yes. And we're all human.
We're all human.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think we've learned a lot about networking, and with you sharing all of the different ways that you have expanded your network and you've come in contact with people, that is amazing. And I think that many of our listeners can take something away from it because, again, we get so set on our own ways and we kind of go into our own little
we
box
do. So
and we
easy.
get stuck.
So easy to
And
do.
and so I'm just glad to hear that there are so many other ways that we can reach out and connect.
Yes.
We can be like Bell, what is it, telephone, telegram? Just
Mhm.
reach out and touch.
Yes.
Reach out and touch
Yes.
someone. So Bell, we usually end each episode with do this week
Okay.
challenge.
I got
It's a
you.
do this week challenge. And what that means is we give our listeners 3 things that we challenge them to do that will help them in this area of networking.
Mhm.
So, what are some things? What are 3 things? And it doesn't have to be long and robust.
Mhm.
What's 3 assignments you would give our listeners today?
One assignment would be go someplace by yourself. Do something that you love by yourself. Okay? You'll be amazed at the network of people that you meet in those environments. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. They come up to you, depending on how
Mhm.
you're carrying yourself, depending on if you are being interactive with whatever that thing is that you're doing. Somebody's going to say something to you. They certainly will.
And I would add on to that, carry yourself in a manner that you are
Approachable.
approachable.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, because there's some people you wanna let them be on their own.
Mhm.
But if you
Exactly.
show up as approachable, if you show up as a spirited person
Yes.
who loves people and who's cautious,
Mhm.
you know, people will walk up to you and speak because it's written all over your face.
Exactly.
The kindness
Exactly.
is written all over you. So, great, thank
Mhm.
you for that one. What about number 2? What's another challenge you would give them?
I said be curious.
Ah, yeah, I like that.
Be
Oh, I love
curious.
that.
Be curious about life.
I love it.
Be curious about a unique jacket you see on a woman, a brooch on your lip.
Yes, I
Be
love that.
curious. And don't be afraid to say, God, I love that. Oh, God, I love
Isn't
your
that
hair.
something? And,
Yes.
women will compliment women in a
Yes.
moment.
Yes. Yes. So be curious
Sure.
and over no, be curious overtly. Be overtly curious.
That's a
That's
good
a
one.
better way to put it.
That's a good one.
Yes.
That's really good. I
Yes.
love that. I love that.
Yes.
And number 3, what would you say as a 3rd
And number
challenge?
3, I would say if you really want to build a network that's going to expand you as
Yes.
well,
Mhm.
do something different that you've never done before.
Tell me more.
Okay. Um, I like jazz, but I don't love hip hop. I might go to a hip hop concert.
Hmm,
Okay.
okay.
Um, I don't know how to ski. I might go to the next huge African American ski, what are they called?
Um,
Events that
yeah.
occur in
Right,
Colorado.
right, 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 right.
Right? I don't know how to ski.
Summits, the ski
I want to learn
summits.
how to swim. Take swimming.
Okay.
Do something
And
you've
you
never
and
done.
you're saying events where you're gonna meet people,
Exactly my point.
especially if they see that there is a conversation to be had. You don't know how to swim or you're just learning to swim. Someone's gonna walk up and say, "Oh, wow, you're learning to swim. Oh, do you enjoy
Exactly.
swimming?" So yeah. Okay, I
Those
like
are
that.
three easy things to do this week to me.
So that would be do something by yourself,
Hmm.
be cautious,
Curious,
I'm
overtly
sorry, be
curious.
curious and
Do something
do
different
something
that you've
different.
never done
Oh,
before.
those are great. Those are great.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna try those myself. I have a great network, but
You
I'm
too.
always looking to expand my network because one of the things that um, I grew up knowing and actually was a saying that my mom would always say, be kind to people because you don't know who knows who.
That's right.
You do not know who you're sitting
That's
next to.
right.
That may be somebody's son who can help you to elevate your
That's
career.
correct.
That may be someone's daughter who can, may become a doctor, and you'll look back and you'll see that, oh, that was the lady I was sitting next to. Case in point, I sat next to Tony Robbins' mother, and at one of his events when he was first starting, and I didn't know it was his mother, and I'm like, oh, he's good, and she's like, that's my son.
See? See?
You don't
You don't
know.
know.
You don't
You don't
know.
know.
So again, be curious.
I'm curious.
Do something different. I was alone. I did something different. And for me, it panned out because it has helped me to grow in
Mm.
my life. It's helped me in business. It's helped me grow when I opened my organization, my school, $1 million school. I was able to
Yeah.
just do things based upon his training.
Yeah.
So it does help when you're curious
Mhm.
and when you use your network. So I am going to take this time and say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And on behalf, Valerina, on behalf of the sisters who've tuned in today, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so very much for showing up and for being your authentic self and being open in this space.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people, again, they don't want to tell their story.
Yeah.
They want to be reserved. And your story brings wisdom. Your story can bring healing.
Mhm.
Your story can bring comfort and truth. And that's important for women who are struggling, who are alone, who want to know, is there hope for me?
Right. Right. And I just want to add one other thing to this whole networking thing. Don't be turned off if when you try to network and that person is not receptive to you. Okay. Don't let that stop you from continuing to develop yourself in this area
Yes.
because you never know what a person is going through on any given day. And don't take anything. The one thing I don't do is if somebody um, approaches me or responds to me negatively, I say it's their problem because I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I don't personalize anyone's actions
Because your intentions are
because
good.
my intentions are good.
It's good intention. Oh, that's all the time. What's your intentions?
That's it.
And so yes, that I think that's very good information there. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Joyce.
Well, we are grateful that you were here with us.
Yeah.
And Queens, let's thank her again. I thank you for joining me at the mahogany table. And I look forward to seeing you again. Each week, we come to you with a new episode of exciting information from women who've had experiences in this life, professional women, as well as women like yourself. So make sure each week you tune in. And again, if you are not a subscriber, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this episode with 10 women. I know today you've walked away with a lot of information. I know today you're going to do something different. You're going to be curious and you're going to do something on your own. Maybe not necessarily in those orders, but those are three things that I know you will take away and you can find your network, expand your network. Sis, I want you to understand and believe that you are not alone. And I'm going to give Val the last word if she'd like to say something.
I just like to say thank you to the host for having me. I have really enjoyed this conversation and I learned something new about myself. And I'm taking my own advice. I am doing something different.
How fantastic is that? That is so fantastic. I'm going to ask you to take a moment and write in the comments. These are all networks. Which one do you relate to? Write in the comments. Let us hear from you. We want to know which one relates to your lifestyle and you as a person. Okay, sis, I leave you with this. You were never meant to walk alone on this journey. Wishing you much peace, love, and joy, and abundance. Until next time, thank you for joining us.